Hello, Melanie.
Hey Andy,
How are you this evening?
I'm okay. We missed the snow.
I'm pleased to hear you missed the snow. So did we. So did we. I have to say, Melanie, you're not glowing this evening.
No, well, it's dark now. The
Okay.
nights are drawing in.
They certainly are. The end is nigh.
Advent is upon us.
It is indeed. And so we've gone to Matthew's Gospel now.
Yes, we've left Luke behind. I've enjoyed studying Luke though, have you?
I certainly have. I certainly have. But Matthew, funnily enough, Matthew's my favorite.
Is
I,
it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've always just spent a lot of time studying, reading Matthew.
What do you like about Matthew's gospel then?
I think it's just thinking of who he's writing to and his use of the Old Testament within it, and
Mm.
it brings the Old Testament through. I uh, I like, but again, I suppose it's the church's calendar, but we start at virtually the end of Matthew, don't we? Matthew 24 this week. But
Mm.
about that day or hour, nobody knows. And what struck me with that opening bit was how it contrasts. I mean, this is again the problems with how our Bibles and the lectionary split passages up, but how it contrasts back with verse 34, where it says, I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. And then, but about that hour, no one knows. So I
He
love,
is he is weaving through two different things, isn't he? Just because we've had a section from the similar passage in Luke, haven't
yeah,
we? And we find it in Mark as well, where
yeah,
he's weaving together two things, isn't he? You've got the destruction of the temple and all the stuff that will happen in AD 70,
yeah,
but then you've also got the future day.
yeah. So this passage refers back to verse 3, the disciples' question of verse 3. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Mm.
So as we notice with Luke, as you said in Luke, Luke sort of doesn't, Jesus in Luke's account doesn't answer their immediate question, but then talks about the end of the age. Here in Matthew, Jesus doesn't sort of at first answer their question, but comes back to it a little bit later on. So that's, I thought, quite an interesting structural parallel. That's a posh phrase, isn't it?
Ooh. But
Oh,
it's like we've gone back to where we were a fortnight ago, really,
yeah,
when we were
yeah,
looking at sort of part of this discourse
yes,
book
yeah.
from
That's
Luke.
another
Book
posh
from Luke.
word.
Oh no, I can use push words too, I do know a few.
All right, structural parallelism. And what was your word again?
Discourse.
Discourse. Oh, I say, very posh.
Anyway, we've only got a little bit of it, which I do find slightly frustrating, but still,
Yeah,
um, there is stuff for us to learn from it.
there is, there is.
Very important, and you're right to pick up that first bit. I think about that day, this future day, no
Yeah.
one knows,
And I
neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, but only the Father.
and I love as well about that day or hour, no one
No
knows.
one.
Firmly, it stops anyone predicting. Or whenever you hear predictions, you can say, no, no, you're talking rubbish because Jesus said, no one knows.
Yeah, and there've been a few people who've ended up falling flat on their faces, haven't they?
Yeah,
Over certainly over the 20th century, anyway,
yeah,
making predictions of when Jesus was going to return, and of course he never did.
yeah,
I'm sure he's there thinking, well, every date that they predict it's not going to be simply to make a point.
yes. And then as you were just starting to go on to, not even the angels in heaven. So Jesus then makes his no one explicit, but not even the Son knows when it's going to be. I find that sort of kind of incredible.
But yeah, I suppose it's the incarnate son though.
Well,
when he's walking around. I would imagine he knows when he's back in the Trinity fully. I
yeah,
don't know, it's a weird thing to start trying to unpack, isn't it? The incarnation and the Trinity and what
that's,
Jesus knows, what his limitations were, and how all that fits together. Theologians can get themselves tangled in knots over that, can't they?
I think we do, don't they? Yeah, yeah. And then
But
he
certainly the incarnate Jesus walking around was not in possession of that date.
And so then he goes on to sort of compare it to the days of Noah and the flood and the suddenness. I mean, there are two things there, aren't there? There's a long wait because no doubt the people of Noah say, "Oh yeah, God's going to flood this." Well, yeah, look, we're in a suntan at the moment. There was the long wait, and then the suddenness. It came suddenly, which again sort of seems to say, okay, you've got this long wait for Jesus's return, and then it's going to be sudden,
Mm.
like the
And
flood.
I like that comparison with Noah because you can imagine him building the ark and the people like what's going on and
Yeah,
then just thinking he's a bit of a crackpot.
yeah,
Also how sinful the world was at that time, which is why God was going to flood it. There's a
yeah,
parallel there with our world today. But
yeah,
also, we can look forward to sort of how one can be saved through that. So it's going to come suddenly. But Noah and his family were saved in the ark,
yeah.
and we're saved in the ark that is Jesus, aren't we? If we're in Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
we're protected through that judgment.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like that parallel.
And then, first 38 were in the days before the floods, you know, people were doing all their everyday stuff, marrying, giving up in marriage, up to the day Noah enters the ark. So life goes on. People are ignoring it, just carrying on in their ways up to when Noah enters the ark.
Mm. But the day when Jesus returns and judgment comes will be sudden. And floods do happen suddenly, don't they? You think about the floods that we've
Yeah,
just had in Monmouth.
yeah,
All it took was a day of heavy rain, and bam, there's your flood.
yeah,
The whole town centre's flooded. Or
yeah,
you watch some of these videos on YouTube that I sometimes like to watch, we're sort of all of a sudden like, glaciers melting or there's been a big storm up a mountain. You get a massive storm surge comes out of nowhere down a river,
yeah,
floods whole towns or whatever. Those things do come suddenly, and Jesus will come suddenly, though nobody can say that they didn't know he was coming because there has been enough warnings.
yeah, 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 yeah,
We need to be people who are giving those warnings as well, don't we? We need to be truthful with people that
yeah,
Jesus is going to come back. And then when he comes back, he is going to bring judgment.
yeah, which isn't something we particularly like to talk about.
No, and
But
it's something that
true.
some parts of the church don't even believe.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
Jesus is very, very clear about it. And so we must be clear about it too.
yeah. And what again, carrying on, carrying on with 38 and then into 39, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came. So they're going about their normal business, if you like, but the purposes of God aren't going to be thwarted, regardless of what man thinks. This is the truth. So, in a way, it doesn't matter what you or I think or anybody else. The purposes of God are not going to be thwarted by what we think or whether we ignore God, whether we ignore the Lord Jesus. Purposes of God will be successful, will be accomplished.
Yeah, well, truth is truth, and what God's going to do, God's going to do. Sometimes when people have said to me, "Oh, well, I don't believe in God or whatever," I'm like, "Well, the moon is up there, right? You can say the moon don't exist. You can say the moon's made of cream cheese.
Hmm.
Doesn't change the fact that the moon is up there and it's made of moon rock.
It isn't made of cheese, but Wallace and Gromit saw that it was, didn't they?
You don't even like cheese."
No, but I like Wallace and Gromit.
So it's true, isn't it? This is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not.
Yeah.
This is what Jesus has said. And we've got to remember who's saying these words. These are the words of Jesus. So we need to take them seriously.
And then at the end of 39, he reinforces exactly what you've said. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Yeah, people
Mm.
carry on their normal business. They ignore the warnings, but God is not going to be thwarted. Yeah.
Mm. And it's quite interesting when you read J.C. Ryle on this. I'm not going to quote him at this point, but there was obviously
So,
a big movement when he was around of saying, it was the big era of the missionary, wasn't it? The Victorians going out to the heathen lands to convert the world. Um, and I think there was a thinking in the time that Jesus wouldn't return until the whole world was converted. And occasionally you get that sort of idea being bandied around today.
yeah,
But I think that this passage refutes that, doesn't it? It says actually we're not going to get to a point when the whole world is converted before Jesus returns,
yeah,
because he says it's going to be like the days of Noah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's quite, and the next bit, if we're moving on to verse 40 and 41,
yeah,
you've got this idea of separation, of
yeah.
division.
Division. Yeah.
So not all will be saved. There is universalism is not something taught by Jesus, is it?
No, there's a separation's going to happen.
And we get that,
Mm.
don't we? It's sort of built on as we move into chapter 25, because
Yeah,
you get these parables. You've got the virgins or the
yeah,
bridesmaids, or whatever you want to call them. You've got the talents, you've got the sheep and the goats. So you can't get much clearer that there is going to be a division.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Quite, quite.
Mm. So it is serious.
Yeah,
That's why we need to share the good news of Jesus to
yeah,
people, because we love them and we want them to be a sheep, not a goat.
yeah.
I just want to be a sheep, Papa, Papa.
So, Melanie, instead of pretending to be a sheep, oh, we can't see the sheep on your wall behind you, you little clock. You've
I'm at
changed.
the wrong angle today.
I've lost my train of thought. So, Jesus, so Melanie, rather than pretending to be a sheep, what are you supposed to do? Verse 42.
Keep awake.
Yeah. And therefore, there's that little link word,
Mm,
therefore, because of what Jesus has said, 36 onwards, keep watch, keep awake, because you don't know when it's going to be happen.
mm. And this is where I've got my quote, my JC Ryle. Do you want a JC Ryle?
Of course we do.
Oh, where's my sticker? Oh, there it is, JC Ryle. Because he talks, even in this context, he's talking about the sort of kindness of Jesus, really, in in giving us that warning, keep awake.
Yeah,
It says, J.C. Wells says, he knows the sleepiness of our nature. He knows how soon we forget the most solemn subjects in religion. He knows how unceasingly Satan labours to obscure the glorious doctrine of his coming again. He arms us with heart searching exhortations to keep awake if we would not be ruined for evermore. May we all have an ear to hear them.
yeah,
It's true, isn't it? We're so quick to forget and so quick to get busied up with everything else that's going on. And we can easily be distracted, fall asleep on the proper job
yeah,
because we're so busy with everything else.
yeah, yeah,
It's a big old warning.
yeah. So
Mm.
keep watch, Melanie.
Sorry?
Keep watch.
Keep watch, keep awake, keep watch. And then
Yeah,
he uses this example of your house being robbed.
yeah.
And it
Be,
doesn't matter what age you live in, does it? It's like 2,000 years ago when you were speaking or now.
yeah,
Anybody, if you knew a thief was coming to rob your house, you would be awake and you'd be there with your
yeah.
mobile phone on speed dial to 999 or your baseball bat, depending on how feisty you are.
And of course, a thief doesn't advertise when they're going to come. So
No.
therefore, live in a state of constant readiness. So you lock the doors, you lock the windows, you put up your outside security lights. So you're in that constant state of readiness just in
And you have
case.
your video doorbell.
That's, oh, you got a video doorbell.
I do.
So you can sit there at your desk watching people going up and down the street.
Well, I'm a cul-de-sac, so that'd be a very dull occupation.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. We're prepared in case a thief is on his way.
Yeah. 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 And that's what our attitude is about that constant readiness for the return of Jesus, like the house builder or house owner, and
Mm,
keeping watch in a state of readiness.
mm. So just an additional thought, just about the whole thing about Jesus's return. We don't know, and it's been a long time. It's been 2,000 years. It's way longer. I mean, I'm sure if you spoke to the disciples after Jesus had said this, they'd have been like, oh, couple of
Yeah.
years, maybe. They wouldn't think 2,000 years and we're still waiting. But Augsburger had something really intriguing to say about that. Okay, he's not a commentator I usually
Yeah.
refer a lot to, but I liked this. He said, God is waiting until humanity has so tied the affairs of this world into knots that to wait longer would not make a difference. I thought it was really interesting because it's a kindness, isn't it? The reason God's
Yeah.
waiting, Jesus is waiting, is a kindness so that as many as possible can be saved. So I suppose it makes sense that he's waiting until like nothing else is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a mess that nobody else is going to be saved now. So I'm going to come back. And I've
Yeah.
not really thought about that.
Yeah. 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 Or yeah, I don't want them to make any more mess. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
such
maybe
a
so.
fear of it
But
already.
it did intrigue me that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good quote.
Interesting thought.
Yeah,
But anyway, I won't be preaching on this.
you won't be.
No, we've got family service.
Oh, right.
We're gonna do about being ready, but we're gonna learn about the armor of God.
Okay.
So we're gonna take that theme of being ready, but we're just gonna make it a bit more sort of visual, if you like.
Mhm. Bless you.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Are you preaching on it?
I am. Can't remember where I am. I'd have to look in my diary, but I am.
Oh, there we are. Well, you can do a proper Advent service, can't you?
I
Keep
probably
awake.
keep awake.
A good way to start a sermon for any vicar, I'd say, to the congregation.
Keep awake. Well, no
Keep
chance of
awake.
falling asleep. Yeah.
I'm going to preach for 15 minutes.
Excellent. Good. Well, enjoy yourself at your family service in that case.
Thank you. And you preach, brother.
I'll try to. Ta-ra. Bye.
Bye.